we're going to have Xunjie Zhang, who started Shift Robotics and their famous Moonwalker shoes. If you look at TikTok, if you look at Instagram, they've had 1 billion views plus. These are the coolest shoes out there, robotics. We're going to talk about that, and we're actually going to give 2 pair away. One to an undergraduate student, one to a graduate student. Here they are, fresh off the press. They are so much fun, I can't tell you. They're great. Okay, after this keynote, fireside chat, we're going to have a networking session out there. We're going to have Jimmy John's food for you going to be brought in. So grab a box and go meet all of our partners in the community, some here at CMU, some from the greater Western Pennsylvania community, and as Sean said earlier, Microsoft's program where you can get up to $150,000 worth of cloud credits. So we're trying to make this so that there's no excuses for not trying it while you're here for the next couple of years. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Avalon Suero. She is an innovation scholar. I think she lives in the Swartz Center. I don't think I've ever come here when she wasn't here. She's amazing, and she is going to introduce our speakers. So, excuse me.
All right, so Xunjie Zhang is the founder and CEO of Shift Robotics, a company transforming personal mobility one step at a time. No pun intended. In 2017, Zhang received a master's degree in robotics from Carnegie Mellon University. He spent nearly 3 years with Rolls-Royce, where, among other endeavors, he worked on certification and control systems programs for the Boeing Dreamliner engines. He learned about safety and reliability by working on the massive engines, but eventually in 2018, he traded the corporate life for one of startups and robotics. After a near car crash accident while riding an electric scooter, Zhang started a multi-year journey that gave birth to Shift Robotics in 2018 and the launch of the world's first robotic shoes, Moonwalkers, in 2023. Named by Time as one of the best inventions of 2023, Moonwalkers are AI-powered personal mobility devices that continuously monitor a user's gait and the ground they're walking on to allow individuals to safely walk up to 7 miles per hour, 3 times faster than their normal speed. And he will be speaking with Zubin, who is a current Masters of AI student, Swartz Fellow, and member of the Graduate Entrepreneurship Club board. He was previously a machine learning engineer at Solvay, another CMU company. Presently, he's working on aligning language models at his startup, Vigil. Zubin is an avid snowboarder and golfer. And now I will let them take it away. Thank you.
You want to play the video?
Yeah.
And we'll just leave that up there. So we'll keep this relatively informal, but I'm sure I can say for everybody, we're exceptionally happy to have you here. So thank you so much for coming, Xunjie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And, I think Avalon gave a wonderful introduction in terms of Shift and everything else that you've done and why you started the company. And so it would be great if you could start me off just sort of walking us through the journey of starting Shift and, what got you here today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's now looking back has been a really wonderful journey in the past 7-8 years. personally, as being like a mobility geek, I have always been interested in anything that moves, anything that transport people, because I just feel this is something exciting. There's a fun. It's not just a functional getting you from A to B, but also it's something it's cool. Shoe is a self-expression of self, but also what bike you ride, right? What scooter you take, what car you drive. It's also your expression, and that when you start getting to speed, you feel that adrenaline, you feel that excitement. To some extent, I feel like mobility is equally as exciting as many other things. So as being a big geeky fan into that, I built before I joined CMU, I built my own kind of e-skateboard, e-scooter, hoverboard, etc. But it wasn't until that moment, the time I was working for Rolls-Royce, where I could walk for 30 minutes. When that was the first month I joined into a new office, I could walk for half an hour, get there. I tried to walk for a couple of weeks. It's just too insane. You get all the sweat. You look like stupid and whatever you get. Most of the people, I'm sure, when you start your first intern, you feel like a sweat like all the time. You get into the office, everybody looking at you like, okay, that's why you are intern, right? Like, so I give that up and realize, okay, maybe I can take the, maybe I can take the bus, but unfortunately, the bus was never reliable. So finally, resort to just getting a cheap scooter that I can just ride around. It was cool for the first week, using it until next Monday. I was, enjoying my 15 miles per hour on the street, and then there was a car coming out there. I didn't take notice. Obviously, I was busy doing something, listen to the music and focus on something else. Like I'm sure most of you guys, when you're walking, right, commuting is so boring. I fell on the street, and I guess that engineering kind of instinct kicks in. I saw people walking and start asking myself why I never walked. What stopped me from walking? Really, walking is just so boring for half an hour. It's cool. It's exercise for 10, 15 minutes a day. But if you have to be somewhere all the time with the slowest way, the most effort, something with the most effort to get from A to B, you might as well ditch that. So. I start thinking, what if we can just make walking faster? And being on the sidewalk is probably the safest way of going from A to B, and the most efficient way. So here I go. At that time, it was also my time thinking about my career kind of plateaued in the big corp. I can see myself in 40 years' time. One of the most scary things I heard from at that time my manager is that was like, oh, Xunjie, I can tell you, if we follow this path, you can be this senior manager in 30 years. He was very proud, right? But I was very scared because it feels like there's no uncertainty, there's no future for myself. It's been pre-planned. So at that time, I kind of combined the idea of building a mobility device that will really benefit a lot of people, and also doing something, cool, entrepreneurship, and it was interesting. Yeah, I saw there was a Discovery Channel was playing on CMU. I think it was Challengers at that time doing the autonomous cars, one of the DARPA Grand Challenges, and it was. I realized, okay, well, this is a place I have to go. This is amazing.
That's awesome. Well, so we've seen, the Shift shoes on your feet, and everybody in the Swartz Center has seen Dave zipping around like nobody's business. I would love to hear just a little bit more about, the journey from starting Shift to sort of what got you here today in sort of broad strokes, right? It's been quite a while. You've been at it for almost a decade. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, it's been a long time, but it really feels yesterday. As I said, when I first joined CMU, I was trying to I was trying to figure out what's the best way to combine kind of technology, robotics with entrepreneurship, because at that time, especially consumer robotics, at that time, there's already plenty of industrial automations, industrial robot, but there are very few kind of robotics that actually are consumer-based. One of the reasons I joined CMU was that I saw, one of the best company, consumer robotics company, Anki. I don't know how many people have seen their unveiling on the WWDC 2013. That was a kind of pivoting moment for me, to determine that I want to join. This is the best place to do consumer robotics at CMU. So lots of kind of figuring out. Like during 2 years, I took a class from Dave Mawini, my first kind of business entrepreneurship class. The 101, figuring out customer, like all the good stuff that people were talking about, early on in the bootcamp, figuring out customer discoveries, how you manage your company, the legals, all the good stuff, kind of building foundation. But at that time, I don't know if I was gonna. All I wanted was to build something that people use. I wasn't even thinking about, I need to build a company for it. It was until the end of the day, at the end, kind of near my graduation time, lots of people, came to me saying, I heard you're graduating. Are you continue building this? It would be a shame, I would love to see this being an actual product. Then it got me, I think that my entrepreneur mind really kicks in. I think, it's the right time. It's the right time to kind of build a company. So, we formed the company in Pittsburgh here, and then we really went through, a very, very hardcore kind of 5 or even 6 years in doing R&D, where, we don't know where exactly this is going to end up with. We don't know what the final form factor was there. But we just saw, the last mile problem, the mobility problem was such a big problem. Something's important enough, then it's worth solving. So that was literally the first part. It's mostly try to kind of push the physics boundaries, try to understand with the components, the hardware, the software, the technology that we have. Are we gonna be able to make it happen? So at that time, it was really just answer ourselves. That big question is that can we, shrink the motor, the battery pack technology, the AI, everything to be, same size as kind of your, you can say a roller skate or shoe size, makes it go, 2-3 times faster. Because at that time, no one have done that, and we don't know whether there's going to be enough power, enough range to be really useful, effective solving the last mile problem.
Right, that's incredible. Drilling into sort of the hardware engineering challenges, you mentioned you were inspired to start a consumer electronics-based, robotics company, but I imagine that was incredibly difficult, particularly in those 5 years. What were some of the challenges that you guys saw? What are some of the unique things about building a hardware company?
Yeah. So I'm gonna split this into 2 parts. One is R&D, which is probably most people, if you're an engineer in this room, more familiar, especially robotics student, will be much more familiar with. The other part is the hidden part, which is more kind of lethal. If you make a mistake, costly part is the scaling, manufacturing, production for the hardware. Like Elon Musk said, hardware is hell. Production is a hell, right? It's certainly true. Now we look back, we think all the R&D effort we made was very tough, very difficult. But it's maybe a tenth, maybe just 1% of what we had to go through when we tried to scale. In terms of the initial R&D section, I think you just have to kind of iterate, and you have to iterate your hardware, your software. Really
How many
quickly.
prototypes did you guys end up making? Do you have a count?
So we built probably, if we count every single iteration we went through, we probably went through like 30 prototypes. We had about 9 major iterations that are dramatically different. We have a one early prototype over there, but we have like 30 different models that at least we have been going through. One thing that you really have to keep in mind is that unlike software where you learn something, you build, you push, and it's available right now, right away for consumers or for your customers. Hardware is a much longer process. Yes, I understand this. 3D print technology overall there's laser cuttings, all of that. It depends on what hardware you're making, but when you are trying to carry a human being, when you're trying to take a 250 load, going through all the bumps or cracks, with Pittsburgh, we'll have some very famous cracks and bumps here. You break all the time. The question is that you can do 3D print all the time, but then as soon as you put them on and use them for less than 5 minutes, it breaks. So there are parts, unfortunately, you have to do the machining. You have to adhere all these rigorous, GD&Gs, all these rigorous process and wait for the parts to be produced, wait for shipping. All of this you unfortunately have to follow when you're building something that has, safety critical elements in it. So that is. Yeah, it's like when we first thought about this, like we have all the prototype tool in the world, and we don't need to worry about anything. We should, do hardware as this is the new way doing hardware. It can be as fast as software. It doesn't turn out to be that. There's still a lot of kind of traditional manufacturing technology, engineering being involved into it, and you really have to pay attention to detail. And then come to the scaling part.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the scaling part was crazy. So when we complete our Kickstarter round, we have about 500 orders, and we obviously were very excited about that. But then after that, I personally even made a mistake thinking, we can scale hardware really quickly. Why don't we, try to get more orders as we are preparing to make a first batch? So we continued our pre-order sale after Kickstarter. And it turned out at the end of the day, we have, by the time we start shipping our first batch, we have over 2,000 orders. And what we realized is, making 2,000 is complete different experience than making the 1 or 2 models, or maybe even 100 unit. It's complete. You need a complete set of engineer. At that time, I never even heard of SQEs, which stand for System Quality Engineer. There's many manufacturing terms that doesn't really apply when you're small scale, but they start really kicking. And then you have to play with all sorts kind of MOQs, which stand for minimum order quantity. So even if, let's say, you want a 50, but if the MOQ to go to mass manufacturing is, 1,000, then you have to still stick with that. Then a single change during the prototype stage is super easy. You change the CAD, you 3D print, or you remachine it at worst. It takes a month or 2, 2 to 3 weeks at most, actually. But when you are in the mass manufacturing stage, a single change means you have to change the toolings, which usually take 30 to 45 days to make. If you do a complete change, sometimes you may have to scratch the old tooling. Even if you do a small change, it takes at least 2 to 3 weeks to just change the tooling, and then you have to account for the time to produce the parts. So there is a lot, and none of this actually is within your control. You have some control as a customer, but A, you are a very small customer to most of factories. B, you can't, you are not the operator that does, produce a part in the first line. So there is a lot of complexity, lots of, trial and error, and lots of, okay, we really want to do this, but maybe let's wait for the next batch to happen. So we kind of rushed initially when we have 2,000 orders. We rushed really hard to get into, production, manufacturing. Made some mistakes, and it was just lots and lots of effort. Lots of places you can make mistakes, and takes a lot of effort, especially your first time kind of doing the hardware business. The worst thing is, if you make a mistake and you don't have time to change them, you end up with tons of inventory that you cannot sell, certain parts that you cannot put, which you have to account for the product cost. So there's many things that comes into play. That's why financial modeling is extremely important. But yeah, I mean, when the hardware become extremely time-consuming, complex, and expensive during the scaling and mass production stage. Yeah.
That's super, super insightful. I want to, in a second, focus a little bit about how you guys scaled the rest of the business, particularly those 2,000 orders that you got. But taking a quick step back, it would be great to hear about some of the things that you mentioned. Dave's class, the things that you got through the Swartz Center, through your environment here at CMU, that sort of helped you launch into this journey that took you on that rocket ship, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, CMU played a tremendous role. Even after I graduated from CMU, we were, I think, the first batch of company, garage company. I think we still call it garage company today.
That we do.
Okay. Yeah, we're actually over there, right over there. That
hallowed space.
Yeah, that we were the first. I think either first company or first batch of a company of the first year when this type of building was still just open. It's. I think this is actually my most missed time. It's now it's fun, but I realized at that time it was even better. Maybe nowadays, people think about working hybrid, working remote, but now I really feel, even though I didn't value at that time that much, having an actual space is important. It's extremely important, especially you're a CMU student, you have other class work to go, and you're hiring other CMU student, at that time, or you partner with them at that time to kind of work on campus, have a place on campus, extremely helpful.
On that, very quickly, you did mention some large percentage of Shift is still CMU alums at the moment, right?
Yeah, so obviously I love CMU. I love, anyone who hire from CMU. But I think naturally, you just try to hire them more. The reason, yes, we do hire people from MIT, people from, Berkeley, Caltech, etc. But, it's sort of, you have this kind of default trust bond at the time you hire CMU student. You already know, 15, 20, 3, 10, 7, 1. I think most people knows, right? As soon as we see them on the resume, we see which professors, which lab you went to, we know already, okay, this is like what kind of dynamic or what kind of grinding life what kind of life they've been grinding through. So, it becomes easy to talk, and sometimes, inside the joke on on campus, which restaurants are really good, but which place cafes are overrated, right? Things like that. It's so much easier to build trust and relationship bond with people from CMU and know, the kind of the competence level they are without, asking all these kind of, technical questions to begin with. Yes, still. Now we are based in Austin, Texas, but 80% of our students, of our people are still from CMU. So, and I believe we'll continue gonna have that ratio as we continue to expand our team as well. Yeah,
which is super exciting.
Yeah.
I'm shifting gears just very slightly.
Sure.
I would love to hear a little bit about, right before that 500 orders on Kickstarter, or maybe even through there, just a challenge that you guys faced and how you kept your team and yourself motivated to sort of fight through, right? To sort of get to the point that you are today.
Yeah, so Yeah, I think the the night before the dawn is always challenge. We, to be honest, telling the truth, we even had people leaving right before, like we are going on Kickstarter campaign. At that time, we were, we really built on, bunch of engineers' mind and the confidence. Yeah, we are ready through, we've been testing this for years. We've seen this is much more different than what used to be. Obviously, we can continue improving the product, but it's kind of the time where we want to validate whether this is working or not. One of the biggest things, and as engineers, is that you always want to perfect things. You want to always making it absolutely flawless. But the problem is sometimes, the problem in your head might be the problem that most people have. So we kind of want to, avoid over-engineer, even though I admit we probably already over-engineered at that version. So yeah, at that time we were like hit and miss. Maybe we can actually. It was I now think back, the first 3 days of launching Kickstarter, we have 0 orders. We were kind of. We actually have one or. Actually, that's not true. We have 10 orders. We have backers actually from our Pittsburgh community who have tried them, have used them. I told them the first 10 orders is early birds. It's half the price of what we offered in a retail price. So the
Friends
10
and
was
family.
gone. Yeah. But then after that, we didn't see the needle was moving. So it was kind of a scary moment. We were like, okay, make and break. But now in hindsight, you're now in thinking, if there's a concept, even a concept that really solve a problem, there's always lots of people, willing to try out the ideas. That's again one of the things I love about, this country is that people, there's a kind of adventurous explorer. Spread that, people, there's always a handful, a portion of people, no matter what field you're working on, willing to give a try, willing to, figure out the new ways, the innovate, trying out things in a more innovative way. So, so these form kind of our Kickstarter early adopters. It was really on third day, we got picked up by Gizmodo, and then he was also another friend. He was a friend of, a major editor in Wired, and then the snowball started rolling, kicking. Obviously, we were every day it's good. Every morning we wake up, we got another 100K, another 100K. It was like roller coasting because we thought the best we can do is raise. I think I said at that time 90K. We'll be really happy if we raise that on Kickstarter. But yeah, it turns out that we made 500 orders and we're super, super excited after that. But then then after that was the manufacturing story, which comes, much, much harder and much more devastating than what we thought at that time. Yeah.
So I think there are many of us in this audience that are working on products ourselves, et cetera. And I think the 2 questions that I have is, Kickstarter is a route that perhaps people might not consider as much anymore, or at least I certainly have forgotten about it a little bit. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that decision to launch, as well as how you knew you were ready to sort of release on Kickstarter, right? I can work on a prototype end over end and never be willing to show it to customers. But at what point do you know that you're ready to put it out into the world?
The honest answer is that I didn't know. None of us knew that. But we knew we have to put this out at some point so that we can take the feedback, so that we can learn what we can do to improve the product, to get close to product market fit. Because as I said, if you keep perfecting it, you might be going to the wrong direction. And as I said, now in hindsight, we realize that there's some of the challenges, problem that we should have fixed at that time. Hence come to this new product. But some of them we probably to spend way too much kind of resource and time on kind of improving it. So I agree. Kickstarter used to be, the go-to place that all the hardware company go. They were able to raise a lot of, money from early adopter. It has become, more of either a promotion platform or I wouldn't say a scam, but many company has launched the ideas and early prototypes over there, but failed deliver. It has been a problem. However, I think in terms of getting enough, if you are doing a true kind of mass consumer product, you want to focus on the mass audience. Kickstarter does have ability with press. So let me tell. So today, when we are launching a new product, we no longer need to kind of go on Kickstarter anymore. That's because we accumulate enough kind of a network of influence, a network of medias and press, to talk about. Now we go back to them. They're more than happy to talk about product again. But at that time, we were just completely no one knows about product. Having just beyond Kickstarter and having the news and press really kind of media press cover us, hugely improve your chance of success. Let's put it away. If you see a product either on the Kickstarter or on a D2C website that you never heard of, it's really, I think, the credibility and the opportunity will be covered by mass publicity is the reason you go. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So you launch on Kickstarter, you get 500 orders, quickly follows by 1,500 more, it seems, and you start fulfilling. And it seems like that scaling was challenging. But after that, I imagine it just got faster, right?
Right. So, So I think it's once you start having that momentum, you start doing you go back from a product launch mode to kind of more kind of e-commerce mode where on the marketing side, the consumer marketing side, you're focusing on continue doing influence affiliate marketing at the same time doing Google, a little bit of it's kind of there's a bit of mixture of Google and Meta ads, which is kind of regular e-commerce practice you do. But it's nothing like when you first. It's a very really different dynamic than launching a new product.
And I imagine that changed your job quite a bit, right? Going from sort of being the developer of making this piece of hardware technology to now scaling your business.
Right. So I think it really changed how I think about things. I think there's three different phases of my journeys. In the beginning, I was a very technical founder. All I think about was how to solve specific technical problems. How do we make it work actually? And then come to the second phase is how do we fulfill and deliver the product? How do we make sure we don't have too much excess inventory? How do we drive the cost bomb down? Negotiate with suppliers, finding the best vendors, etc. And then now come to the third part when you have build a team. Then you then you move to the next part, which is kind of really focusing on listening to the customer. So in the past year and a half since we launched the original Moonwalker, I'll spend like every single week, I will jump on a customer call. I'm talking to a regular consumer or talking to a kind of enterprise business customers as well. We even the whole team have shifted from hacking the product to kind of hacking the user behavior, hacking the growth and hacking the user behavior, customer behavior as well. One of the things we realized is that now the core of the idea of the product is not just to the moonwalker itself, but it's also everything that around there, which is something we didn't realize. Wow, user manual was so important. Wow, quick starter was so important. Wow, it's so important to let user quickly find where they need it, if they need to get the help with. That just totally changed the strategy, changed the way we're doing things, as well as we start focusing on, how we get the best experience, not just the product, to our customers. Yeah.
And so as you made that transition, I imagine you had to put a lot of faith in your team to continue hacking on the product side to deliver the new versions.
Yeah.
How did you, find your co-founders, find the rest of your team as you started building? Like, many of us are sort of sometimes going at it alone, looking for partners to work with, et cetera. Walk me through a little bit of that.
Yeah. So now we're gonna come back to the CMU story.
All the way
again.
back to CMU.
Before I start there, first of all, I think it's important that you have your own schedule. Every company, every founder, founder story, there should be, you should follow your own schedule. You might heard a lot, lots of time you need a co-founder, you need a partner, otherwise it's impossible. Yes, it's true, it's a very lonely, tough, and it's a journey that you want to give up, any moment. It's very easy to think that way. Having a co-founder, having a partner, having a team is extremely important. However, I would say my strongest, advice would be, you have to figure out, obviously who you are and what kind of who you think can, complement your skill set culturally, not just technical competence, before kind of you start building a team. So you should really have your own schedule. So in terms of building a founding team, again, as I said in the beginning, CMU played a pivotal role. Actually, my kind of right-hand founding engineer, Joseph Young, he graduated from ECE, CMU ECE as well. As I said, 80% of our team come from CMU. I think you really have to work with them, for a very long time, for at least like 2-3 months, kind of knowing each other, because sometimes I've seen lots of founders, they have their friend, but working together sometimes means a very different thing than just being friends. Having kind of, I think, figuring out kind of the dynamic between you guys, and keep coming to events like a Connect, keep having a space in CMU, keep meeting with people. We have, how many people we have in CMU now? So 8,000.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you will be able. I'm confident that if you try to pitch in different occasions, to try to know people, try to get into the CMU entrepreneurship network, you will find someone. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy. Don't rush it. But I feel like when you find the right people, everything just take off.
And I have to drill in just one more time, because you did mention a little bit ago that you had a little bit of a team transition right when you launched the Kickstarter. And so navigating sort of that discomfort or tumultuousness must have been challenging.
Absolutely. So when I first started, with engineer, probably was, most people would think, you're probably the best in the field. You want to hire the best in their field. You want to hire, best electrical engineer, hire, most senior, talented mechanical engineer, et cetera, et cetera. For a very long time, I kind of overlooked a culture fit and have put a lot of focus on, where you are, like your experience or track record, seniority of the engineers. Obviously, because I was driven by, we want to reduce the time to market. We want to reduce the number of iterations, even though we spent certain time to refine product. But you wanna get there faster by bringing people with more experience talented engineer with experience. So that become, at that time, I was less focused on kind of building a kind of team dynamics. That become, kind of come back and bite me after we shifting from R&D mode into deliver mode and fulfillment mode, where sometimes what you need is no longer just a technical skill set anymore. For example, you have patience, you have to talk to your suppliers, you have to talk to multiple suppliers, you have to figure out how to communicate with them best. How do you, quality control? Sometimes you have to, go to our overseas supply chain manufacturer to figure out the problems. It become very difficult for senior engineers, especially, to really stretch the job titles, and that's why nowadays we are really shifting from kind of skill set first or experience first to kind of culture fit first, where we think, if you have great raw talent, which obviously everybody here will have no problem with that, what we are looking for is acceleration and the culture fit, because I firmly believe 1 + 1 should be equal than 2, or even 3. That's why if you have people with right-minded, you can learn things way faster. You can do things. You make things much faster. Yeah.
That's incredibly insightful. So fast forwarding all the way to today, we got these new shoes. Walk me through a little bit of, the design of them, what makes them special, and just your product design philosophy, right? What brought them to the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you see, a lot of people in Swartz Center, Dave, wearing Moonwalker shoes, the Zhang shoes around. You probably see, few CMU students wear them around campus as well. So the Zhang shoes is, as you can see, a kind of mighty, powerful, all-purpose. It was kind of like almost built like a tank that go over to traverse any terrains, any bumps or cracks, or in the rainy days, or even with a little bit of snow on the road, you can go overcome them without any issues. At that time, we are constrained by, how small we can make the battery pack, how small we can make the motors and PCBs, etc. So they're big, they're bulky, even though they're very powerful. They'll go over many places, and they're also expensive because, as I said, we over-engineered it for urban kind of usages. But where we really see the Moonwalker Original, we think there's still a place for Moonwalker Original, where if you're going through, exploring some city trails, urban trails, or even dirt road, they're gonna give you a great experience. And they are good for larger for we're talking about men's size 9+, which is too big for women's. The new model that we are showing off, and they're also on my feet as well. They're about 20% lighter, but it actually feels like 50% lighter because we redesigned the strap base, we redesigned the weight distributions, we redesign how everything, the material that can be way more flexible to kind of curve around your feet, to be extremely comfortable. So there's you, even though it's 20% on the scale, but it's 50% lighter you feel. And now it will start working with a lot of smaller feet. We are looking at women's size 7+. Will be able to accommodating the new Moonwalkers, what we call the Moonwalkers Aero, will be accommodating your feet now. They're also 30 times, in terms of decibels, 30 times quieter. So one of the things you might heard, when we were walking around this area is that the noise coming from the motor, the high-pitched sound, that sometimes, for some people, is a great attention, but sometimes attract a negative attention. We've dialed that down really quietly. Now it's 30 times quieter. You'll be able to go into Target, including Walgreens. We've tried many times. We did A/B test. We had two pair of shoes going to these places in different time. One got kicked out. One was make all the purchase before he come out in half the walking time. And also overall, just way more customizations and way more personalized. So now we are launching this complete new software. We're spending a whole 1.5 years in the past writing the new software, really improve how it's respond to you, how responsive it can stop, how it can accelerate. We'll soon, by the end of this month, the new software will work with a new app that allow you to fine-tune your acceleration. If anyone's played with any mobility device before, driving a BMW, there's so many settings you can change. You can change the suspension, you can change how fast you want to accelerate, right? Like how you steer. All of this, that convert into kind of terminology of walking. You can change a single push, how much acceleration you get from a single push. You can change how fast, how rapid it can stop. You can change, overall, how it respond to different walking, different gait you have. How easy it is to go over bumps or cracks. How easy it is to assist you turn. So there's so many premium features nowadays that come with the new shoes, new software that will be available at the time of launch, which will be the end of this month. So we are super, super excited about this new product. And we think this is really going to help us kind of change the urban exploration landscape. And and here we have 2 units that's available to give away.
They're leapfrogging, like 40,000 people on a wait list or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Very exciting. And then one other thing is, as I'm sure many of us are interested, to also join a community of a lot of CMUers and maybe have great culture fit.
Absolutely.
How might one go about doing that? Hop over there.
If we can change the... Yeah, so as I said, we love CMU people. We want to continue hiring CMU. We are hiring a lot of engineers, developers, as we, in the process of raising the next round. So please do a scan and you can find all the current openings on the website,
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think, just I feel like we are very lucky in this place, and we, again, my heart is work. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think from all of us, we'd love to give you a large welcome and a large round of applause. Thank you so much for coming, Xunjie. It was fantastic chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.